You are listening to Power Stance Gamers Podcast, the best place for quality tabletop banter. With your hosts, Jacob, Greg, and Muddi.
G'day everyone, welcome to this review episode of Power Stance Gaming. My name is Jacob Connor, I'm your host today. And here with me is Mr. Greg Millsop.
Good morning.
And Mr. David Muddi.
Good night.
Alright, today,
It's
reviewing...
not being difficult, don't you? Not
No,
being
well,
difficult.
yeah, let's just discuss this. You want to do the morning, but what about those that wake up later and listen to it at night?
True. Forgetting about our shift workers.
That's right. You're forgetting the 50s.
And what about if somebody's listening to this in the UK?
Well,
or in America?
but that's not
Hey?
happening.
Wow.
Hey? Or Japan?
Poor
Or apparently
bastard.
We got a
got
couple
some-
of listeners in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't count.
What?
Didn't you say it was your brother or something?
No, he was in Amsterdam.
Oh, he's in Amsterdam.
He got deported.
Oh, nice. Was he that bogan?
Apparently you can smoke too much weed in Amsterdam. I did not know that.
Oh, I thought you were saying he got kicked out
That's
of
classic.
Yeah, he's gone to visit a friend in Colombia.
Oh, no. Oh. Has he got
Apparently she's having trouble, I don't know.
She's,
I didn't
she's
get
a
the
bit of
full
trouble
story.
on one. Yeah.
Has he got a boogie board?
Speaking of Colombian drug lords.
Good one.
Oh,
Silly did that?
Segue.
Motherfucking way.
So we are going to review what game, Muddi?
Pew pew, Spectre!
Spectre.
Spectre Miniatures.
How do you do it
And-
again?
Spectre.
Spectre!
And we do need to differentiate here because we have Spectre Miniatures and their game, Spectre
Which is for their
Operations,
miniatures.
which is for their miniatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny how that works.
Yeah. So they need to be distinct. But I just want to gush a little bit here. I love this game. I think it's great.
Pretty much knew that was coming.
Yeah, sorry, I thought I'd get out of the way.
Yep.
And the reason I picked up Spectre because I was looking for a Moderns rule set for quite some time.
Yep.
I couldn't find one that I thought fit a balance between realism and still being fun to play.
It's like the one-stop shop too, really.
This rule set.
You got the rule set and you got the minis.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So we'll get into a little bit of history in the company. So Spectre was birthed as all
Spectre.
good things Muddi from a
What?
crowdfunding campaign on
Oh, Kickstarter!
Kickstarter. Yep.
Did Ronnie do this?
No.
Did he help out or something?
We got two blokes, Matt Adams and Stephen May in the UK.
Right. Okay.
In the
Did they have any other game? Do you know if they had any other games designing experience before they hopped on, or was this?
I'm
their
not sure of
first
the history
product?
before this game.
Oh, right.
Basically, Nottingham, like everything's in Nottingham, isn't it? If you're making minis, you're in Nottingham.
Yeah, it's the Venice Beach of gaming.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just nuts.
The Mecca.
Yeah, the Mecca. That's
Yeah,
right.
the
Venice,
Amsterdam.
That's it.
Depending on what your
Yeah, what are you
passion
into?
is.
Those little cubicles with the bloody curtains.
I have been to Amsterdam.
I have been there too. I got offered drugs.
Did you?
I did.
No.
I was the only one in our tour group that are following going, hey, you want to buy some drugs? The tour guy had to come back and make sure I was alright. Oh, yeah, they're just trying to sell me drugs. Just really.
Anyway, so and basically in 2014 they launched a Kickstarter campaign for their miniatures.
Do you know how much did it raise? Do you know?
I think this is off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I should have done more research, I guess.
Oh,
I think
Greg, where you at, bro?
£24,000,
Yep, 24,000. So what's that about?
which is
double it,
respectable.
roughly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
about
pretty much.
48,000.
Say 50
AED.
round numbers.
Yeah. Oh,
So
awesome.
Decent kick. And
Yep.
the interesting with the Kickstarter is that their campaign was, we've done all the sculpting, and we're going to release the miniatures anyway.
Yep.
But you fund us, and we'll drop it all at once.
Yep.
Which is
Nice.
brilliant, because that way you're not waiting for dribs and drabs of releases, that they can
Yep.
kick up the production and knock out their entire range at the time. Obviously pretty popular. Getting 50,000
Yeah.
Aussie dollars is,
Yep.
geez, I wouldn't sneeze at that.
No.
And yeah, they released their miniatures, and interestingly, along with the miniatures release, that they released a rule set that
To
to
go
come
with
with
the
it.
minis.
But
Yep.
this one, it was free. It wasn't free. You had to, if you backed the Kickstarter, you got the rules.
Yep.
And then they sort of released eventually on the website and stuff like that. So, and that rule set evolved into this book right here, and
Can I
that's
have a little squiz?
yeah, of course.
It's got some really good pictures of the models and stuff in here too. It sort of sets the scene, and especially with the terrain and whatnot, because you really can go crazy with these skirmish modern games where you can really.
I'm going to pose a question to you that you posed 2 weeks ago and got cut off by someone in this room that's not me and not you.
Yep.
And it'd be rude to cut someone off if you ask.
I know it would be, wouldn't it? It's very impolite.
Is it? Do you think with skirmish games that the visual appeal is easy to ramp up?
I think it is.
That you can get more detail in your ears, more detail in your terrain. You got a smaller board.
It's a smaller board. Everything's a bit more crammed in, and you can fill the spaces. And because going off this one, this is modern stuff. So you look at it, and you really can go to town with it, and it makes sense to your eye straight away. And you are getting drawn straight into the movie, the cinema of it. It's hats off to the skirmish type games. They really can pull it off, and this game itself does to a T.
How much for the rulebook and the minis?
That's a good question. Good question.
Your wife's not listening. It's okay.
No. On there's no distributors in Australia, as far as I'm aware. I tried, I couldn't find anything, so I just buy direct from their website.
There you go. You
pointing
could be
at
the
me.
man. Yeah, you could be the man. You could be the Australian distributor.
Yeah, Matt, Stephen, if you want to trust me with your miniatures,
don't do it.
don't.
Don't do
Even
it.
I wouldn't trust him.
No, if you, so if there was an Aussie distributor, they would be getting plenty of coin from me.
Yeah, they would. Yep.
So you can get individual models for £3, £3.
Yep.
$2.99, but then they go up from there, so you can get starters.
You got little starter packs, haven't you? Yeah. Yep.
And sets. So
that's a good way of doing it. Get your little crew sorted.
Yeah. So you can get 1 or 2 models in a blister, or you can get the starter set. So I got the starter set with the rulebook in it, and it had the SWAT team, and it had the criminals done up in the clown masks.
Yep.
Which I offloaded to Greg,
Yep.
so we'd have a little opposing force, and that was 50.
Yep. Nice.
So nice.
So
even
nothing
number.
that's going to break the bank.
50 Aussie dollars? Or
No,
50
£50.
pounds? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So 100
So-
by 100.
About 70, 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got free shipping worldwide for £60. So
Boom. There. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's good, isn't it?
it's
I
great.
have to say, we get boned in Oz with our shipping costs, though.
Yeah,
We
so
get
it's
totally boned.
it's actually cheaper to bump it up to the free shipping threshold.
Yeah. You
generally.
might as well get some extra models.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm really happy with it. And the rulebook, we'll talk about aesthetics, I guess, in a second. Greg, yeah?
Yep.
Before we go any further, what's your thoughts on the skirmish game being perhaps more visually appealing than a mass game?
Oh, I think definitely, obviously scenery-wise, you can put more on the board. And with the scenery out there at the moment, it's there's so much variety. And again, because you're only looking at a handful of models, you put so much more effort into how they look visually. So, you can really make them pop and stand out. You really get that visual, somatic feel. It's awesome.
It kind of let's be honest, none of us are walking around the fields visualizing Napoleonic battles and all that sort of stuff, right?
Correct, yeah.
We're more used to walking around the suburbs and in the city, and so when you see that on a board, it probably resonates with you possibly a little bit more because you are actually doing that in real life.
And I think even one step further, and you probably come on to this later, but the fact that you can actually turn around and reenact a movie, or a recent battle, but probably more the movie scene because it's cool. The fact that you can have like a Black Hawk Down scenario, I think that is awesome.
Yep. So as far as that's sort of where the game is at the moment, and they're bringing out, they had a second Kickstarter, which was for 1 to 50 scale technicals.
Yep.
Which I think was pretty successful.
Yep.
I didn't catch a figure on that one. Sorry.
Okay.
But and they look fantastic. They're awesome.
So they've had a few releases.
Yep. So they've got vehicles, they've got terrain, they've got a ridiculous range of miniatures covering all the major
Different
factions.
periods as well too, like different sorts of themes.
Yeah, different themes.
Yeah.
So when you look at the factions, you're looking at your typical, US, America stuff with your Delta.
Yep.
Then you've got, your Tier 1. You've got, CIA
You've got
agents.
all these African militias and all sorts of stuff, Yeah, like you said with the clowns as well for
Middle
your
East,
bank robbing and all everything
North
else.
Africa militias. You've got your Russians, British SAS, which fantastic kit.
Yeah, they got Guinness and Mars bars in their
In the
equipment
packs.
box.
You have to model one with
If
the
they-
Mars
if
And
bar.
their webbing.
Yeah.
If
No?
they're any good, they will. That's what I carry
Yeah,
on the
and
mission.
my personal like the SWAT team. It just looks incredible there.
Yeah, I was a little
Beautiful.
jealous when they rocked up on the board. I was like, oh.
I must admit, I like my operators.
Did
Yeah,
ya?
right, yeah.
I love them.
No, I saw the SWAT car. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Operators. That's
So
where it's at.
we'll
They got towed up, so whatever.
We'll post a link. Definitely went on our Facebook page to the site so you can view the range of miniatures. And that's another thing about the rulebook. Some beautiful photos, as Muddi said there.
Yeah, it's
that
really good.
highlight and
it's all their
dynamic
minis.
shots.
Yeah, everything you see in
All
there,
in-house.
it's like I said, it's the one-stop shop.
Yep. Yeah, no, they look fantastic. So aesthetics wise, I reckon it looks great. The issue is, of course, that you've got to supply your terrain to a degree because they only do, sort of
It's a hobby game.
barricades and vehicles and that
Most
sort
of
of
this
stuff.
stuff's easy to find, guys. You're not going to be not able to find stuff to fill your board out and dress it up.
But if we're talking about aesthetics of the miniatures, I'm really impressed.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's all realistic sort of scale too. So you haven't got like the
Big
30
roided up dude.
Is it 32 or 35 mil, whatever we're at now with the standard G-Dub
32.
hero
I think
scale?
it's got to now.
Yeah, so it's nothing like that. This stuff is true to scale. So when you're looking on the board, you're not looking at it going, oh, geez, look at the shoulder pads on that dude.
what I found really interesting is that all the miniatures are one piece.
Oh, now
metal.
that is a massive, because you know my aversion to,
Do you not
to
like
the metal. I do
Oh.
not like metal miniatures. However, if they're one piece,
However,
if they are all one piece, I'm more inclined to give it a pass, just because they're less fiddly, and if you drop it or knock it over, like in some of these games, you have to lay them down and things like that. An arm's not going to just get snapped off, which I find with metal miniatures sometimes.
Yeah, and because they're one-piece minis and they're metal, the detail's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think they're good. The kit's all spot on. Like, you can tell they've done all their research with that sort of stuff. So I reckon it's just brilliant.
Yep.
and just about about research, the classic is the African fighters with holding the guns
holding the
sideways.
guns
Yes,
sideways.
horizontally above their heads.
fully gangster. Yeah.
When you see, if you check,
Like, they don't do that, really. They do.
if you check out their Kickstarter stuff from the campaign from 2014, some of their original militia models are even more outlandish
Even
than
more
what they
gangster.
are. Yeah, it's worth checking out. I'll chuck up the links on the Facebook. But no, it's as I said, I'm a big fan of the aesthetic. is really good and just captures one. It's accurate, two, they're characterful, and for some of them there's a real sense of they're actually fighting. They're
Yep.
not
Yeah.
on the parade ground, which I think is great as well, and can be really tricky to pull off, I think. And the rulebook, it's worth it if you if you like pretty books, lots of nice pictures and models in it.
Yeah.
It definitely worth checking
it's
out.
all colour as well, so it's a good production.
Oh, definitely good buy. And I think that's a good link into talking about the actual gameplay and how it plays.
You are listening to Power Stance Gamers. And now, this.
All right, so we'll preface this by saying that we had a game.
We did have a game.
Um,
It was a fun game.
it was a very
It was
fun
a game that was fun for all.
which is good. And I was actually really nervous about getting
Because you were basically GMing it,
yeah,
and
I was
were you worried about me coming in going,
this shit.
oh, I don't know,
Metal models.
metal models, another skirmish game.
No, it's one of those things. Like, when you really like something and you show
You
it
want
to
someone else to like it too.
and you go, oh, what if they don't like it as much as I do?
Yep.
Then you look like a dick.
They won't play with me.
Yeah. So I was kind of, and I already played a game with JT, and I played a couple.
Was that the one that he was right in the filthy? Everyone had like heavy machine guns. Or
Yeah,
something?
we didn't know there was
There was a cab. Nice.
Yeah, a suggested sort of ratio of weapons.
So it had been thought out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was a bit nervous, but when we got there, got to the table, and we had Mike Hurrel playing as well. So
Yeah.
shout out to Mike. He sent me a really good summary of his thoughts
You
on the
gonna
game.
post that
so
up?
I'll actually read it out at the
Yeah.
end of the
Oh, I'm
cast.
gonna read it out. I just
when we do
if
our final
Mike's,
thoughts.
if Mike's listening, I smashed you, bro.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Look, it
took all these models off.
It was 14 minutes before he said that, Greg. I'm really impressed.
Pretty impressed, yeah.
I took all these
To
models
start
off.
talking about the draw that we had.
After he took one of my guys out. What happened? I took him out. Not just one of his guys, his whole team.
So we actually played a four-way.
We did.
And I thought I'd jazz up a little bit.
Multiplayer awesomeness.
One of my favourite things to do in a multiplayer game is to have secret objectives.
Yep.
So no one knows what
That was
other
cool.
people are
That
doing.
was wicked.
And Spectre is just perfect for that. Because essentially we had 4 different factions, each with their own agenda, that had sort of crashed into this village, and it was...
Quite literally with the SWAT guys just driving in and hopping
The
out.
SUVs.
Yeah.
But my aim with that mission was to really highlight some different things in the game, how they work, and all that sort of stuff. So basically, I think that worked quite well. Rules-wise, it's got a couple of interesting mechanics.
Yep.
One is the initiative. So each turn, the initiative can change, and you're rolling basically a dice each turn.
With
and
the
adding your
initiative of your leader.
Yeah,
something
your
from memory.
command value
Yeah.
of your leader to basically figure out what order the turns are going to happen in. And it's the way that the initiative works is, okay, so everyone does their command phase where you give orders to your troops. And that might be, covering fire or, coordinated fire or overwatch or calling in off-table assets and that sort of stuff. We'll talk about them in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone does that in the order of initiative. And then everyone does the tactical and movement phase,
Yep.
which is where you actually move your troops and set up for the combat, essentially. And it's in this phase that you use your non-lethals, like your stun grenades and all that sort of stuff too, which,
Flash
again,
grenades and all that. Yep.
sets up nicely. And then the third phase is fourth phase is the combat phase, where all the shit goes down. So it can be a really interesting way that even though you have initiative, you still play out each of those phases.
Yep.
It's not like you do everything.
Yeah, it's not like you go, I go, traditional sense. Yeah, I liked it. I did not mind that. Were you worried I was gonna?
No, I think
Get
that's
crazy with that?
one of its good selling
Yeah,
points is
yeah.
the way that the turn structure is organised. What do you think, Greg?
I would say, first of all, as far as gameplay is concerned, where I see us sitting as far as a war game, I guess, is I would say it, you've got 40k, then you would have Infinity, and then you have Spectre. Spectre's definitely, Spectre is very much a game that is 3 or 4 notches above Infinity. And I thought whenever I played Infinity, that was a realistic game, but bloody hellfire, this game's incredible. The way you sort of, you got a plan well in advance of what you've got to do in order to win or I guess stand any chance of actually achieving your objectives.
And full disclosure, we certainly didn't have a super tactical game amongst the 4 of us.
Oh, I was.
No, you were. Charge, fire grenade launcher, call in a mortar.
Straight off the bat, you were straight into combat.
No,
If anyone
I
was being
snuck
tactical, it was
I-
the sneaky looking bushes in the corner of the
I
field where
snuck
Greg's
up
operators were hiding.
and assaulted those guys hand to hand. Took them out. No
Yeah.
noise. Kicked the door in. Got inside. It was all good.
Kicked the door in eventually.
Yeah, it took 2 goes of that, and then the guy's still standing there, and then gets shot. That was a bit.
It's
sad about
But
that.
it is super realistic, down to the point of, and you can jump in here, feel free to
Yep.
talk about some of the mechanics, but the lighting, the fact that there was a light pool that you could work out.
use light pools.
Yep,
Yeah,
I just, that blows my mind. The fact that I think whenever you went into the building, you're supposed to switch the light switch on, and you didn't do that, so therefore it was all still darkness in the building.
Oh no! Like you can play it where if the interiors are lit, it's
Yeah, but
harder
you can
to
still-
see outside.
Yeah,
kind
you
of
can
thing.
still
So,
play
yeah.
that aspect of it, which still just I find it's trippy to say the least.
Yeah, it certainly prompts a much slower pace and probably more measured approach to games than we might be used to, where there's not sort of far-reaching consequences of each model.
Yep, but I like
Acting.
that because again, going back and you touched on it, the fact that whenever you shoot at somebody, they're pretty much going down. They're going to be cactus.
Yep, it's one of those games where it's hard to hit, but when you do hit, you
It's
go
brutal.
down hard. Yeah, and you can certainly tool up you guys to
And I guess
hit hard.
to give you an idea, listeners, of what that entails, whenever your dudes get hit, if they survive, in inverted commas, the shot, which could be, say, getting shot from an assault rifle, which is what, when you're on a 3, I think, 3 plus?
Lethal, yeah, I think
Lethalities.
It had the lethalities
4.
of the weapons.
So 4. So if you roll a 1, 2, 3, they're living, in inverted commas. 4 plus, they're off the table. That's it. They're gone.
Yeah, there was that injury chart, but a lot of the time
Whereas-
we were rolling up like bleeding out.
Yeah, so
and
on a
whatnot.
1, 2, 3, essentially, then you rolled another table, which meant then that you were bleeding out, essentially.
Yep.
I think a result of 3 plus or 4 plus, you're bleeding out over a number of turns, and that limited what you could do. So you might only be able to shoot your sidearm, for example, and limited your movement, which I thought
Mike did that. I think
Yeah.
at least once.
Yeah.
I think that was cool. I like that. That brings a super realistic flavor to the game.
Yep. But it's also a criticism that might pop up a little later on that we might want to look at. The thing something I really like about it is the way they manage the off-table assets. So these are things like your helicopter snipers, your gunship support, mortars, Muddi, game-winning mortars.
Game-winning mortars, boy. How's it feel?
No, I think draw-winning mortars.
No.
I think is how you pronounce it. Because you didn't win. You certainly didn't win it. That's
Town
for sure.
was secure.
No, I think the GM actually said it was a draw.
Nah, I think he was just trying to be nice.
I think Jacob called it and said it was a draw.
There's no one in the
Officially,
town.
officially it's a draw.
Because I had a full squad of militia kicking down the door.
Oh,
They
so
weren't.
you win.
I
you
reckon if
yeah,
it wasn't the GM,
yeah, so
I
I'd
would have
say
said I'd win.
I would say Jacob wins then. There's no way you didn't even
What was
come
your mission?
close.
No, you're about to be in a lot of trouble. You're going to be in a lot of trouble.
No, it wasn't. No way. Let's call in another mortar.
No, you were gone
Killed
with a
your guys.
tank, a functional tank that was gonna
It
blow
wasn't
you
functional.
away.
It wasn't driving.
No, but it could still move its armaments.
Yeah. Yes, for those listening, we did roll on a tank just to show the boys what tanks were like. It's certainly not something you'd expect to see in every game of Spectre.
Yeah.
And to be super fair, I made sure Greg had a really easy way to take out the tank with the UAV Hellfire missile.
Yep, which is the top, of course, operators being what they are, being, the best in the business.
Yeah.
They took it out.
So
They're hiding in the rice paddies the whole game.
And the
Oh,
prize,
yeah.
bro. And the prize. I was
So-
leaving it to the very last.
back to the off-table assets, the way you call them in your command phase, and they might not necessarily arrive that turn, I think works. It is really cool. The idea of like we need the helicopter snipers come in, and they might be delayed.
Yeah, you don't know
might come
when
in
when it's going to arrive when you're calling it in. So
Yeah,
you've got
so
to plan ahead.
planning ahead's really important there, and they're limited in how many you can take, which is also the other thing. So you might only get to call them twice in a game.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's again the whole way that's managed. Looking at rather than having to have your mortar on the table, or rather than having a model. And don't get me wrong, it'd be cool to have a little bird buzzing around, firing off its miniguns and stuff.
Yep.
The fact that that's abstracted to a point where you go, right, that's above that level of combat, but it still will have an effect on that.
Is that what Flames of War used to do with the air assets?
Sorta, yeah.
Yeah.
You still put the planes on the
You
table.
could still
though.
have it. I know they had that, but it literally was they came on and then they had a little area that they used to put a thing down that
Yeah.
said they dropped the bombs down and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought that worked really well. The other thing that I think mechanically, or something that I think mechanically is tricky for us to get our head around, is where squads are built in Spectre. And that's that they don't give you any hard and fast squad building rules. They don't say that a Russian, Spetsnaz squad has 3 members and one of them's a lieutenant. They go, they kind of leave it to you to go,
So
right.
there's no army lists in our or faction lists or anything. It's
No.
just literally these guys. Pick what you want.
And they go levels, so they go, okay, it goes from elite to professional to trained to militia.
Yep.
To civilian. So there's 3 levels in that. They go commander, team leader, and then soldier or operator, essentially. And basically each of them, obviously from 0 to 12, that there's a ladder and the stats get better the higher up you go, kind of
Yep.
thing. And it sort of leaves it to the players to decide, right, my guys are professionally trained, so they're going to take that professional level, or, my militia to take the militia level kind of thing.
Yep.
So, and then they go, alright, they give you some suggested sort of ideas, and they encourage you to look at, if you're using a realistic force, like if you're using, for instance, British infantry as your thing,
Yep.
they go, right, well, look at how they actually operate. And they go, they're 8-man sections that break down into 4-man fire teams.
I guess it's easy to Google, though, isn't it? It's easy enough
absolutely,
to research.
yeah.
Although you'll have the Australian Federal Police knocking your door going, why are you looking at special forces from around the world and what they contain?
Russian
Mr. Connor?
Spetsnaz tactics.
Oh, the Russians done it. Bloody Russians again.
But no, I thought that's really good. And it's actually prompted me to do heaps of reading and looking at that sort of stuff, and that's actually...
And isn't there mentoring in it as well?
Yeah, that's a great rule. And we had that in the multiplayer game we played with the militia squads. They each had a Russian advisor that made them
that's
better.
Right, yeah.
So as long as the advisor was alive, he sort of boosted their stats a little
Yep.
bit. And wasn't that
I think it's a
someone's
really
objective
clever...
to take out
it was
the
mine.
mentors? Yeah,
It was mine. Which I did, actually. I successfully completed my mission.
Until
until some dickhead dropped some mortars on my head.
Well,
Killed
if I couldn't get him, no one can get him.
And I think, I suppose, another point of realism that would be useful, and it was specifically if the people who invented this game were listening, then I would put this as a suggestion for improvement, would be, if you're going to have super realistic rules, could you also put a rule to shoot specifically to wound? Because I had to basically shoot somebody hoping that I wasn't going to kill them, so I could go up and then basically take them captive.
You can take stun guns.
Not stun gun, no, yeah, but I'm talking with my sniper rifle, with my, assault rifle. I want to ping them in the leg, and so they don't run away, and then
we
they
could
can
have
go
house
grab
ruled
them.
that.
We could have house ruled it, yeah, okay. Well,
And I would have made it.
Yeah. That would make life a lot easier.
This is all just about him trying to win the game.
Yeah, I couldn't do what I wanted to from
Not
the
at all.
fucking
I'm talking
bushes
from a
at the edge of the
theme
board.
perspective that it would be really good.
2 kilometers away from the game,
Yeah.
and I don't want to have to play the game, and so I
To our
just
listeners, Greg had the operators, the tier 1 guys, the elites, and for 5 of the 6 turns, hid in the bushes.
Skillfully.
Skillfully.
Skillfully hid in the bushes.
Not only did he hide in the bushes, he didn't move.
Yeah,
even within
hang
the
on
bushes.
a second.
because
As I recall, in the very last turn, I was just within the distance to get to the mentor, like within a millimeter. So I had I moved up perfectly and stealthily, which you're supposed to do. This is a game all about
listeners,
stealth.
I ran that mentor towards him.
That's true too. That's true too.
No, it was fun, and we are giving you a bit of shtick, but you were definitely the most cautious of all the players.
Which is what you're supposed to do. I was in theme. I was totally in theme.
And it's true.
That's how I play my high elves, isn't it?
Because
It's true. Yep. Sit back, shoot.
we found out really, really quickly in my early games, and definitely you guys did, if you leave your guys out exposed in the open, they are dead.
Yep.
There's no ifs or buts about it. You need to be using your teams to support one another, doing that leapfrog, put one on Overwatch, move one other up, then swap Overwatch, move them up, and make sure that no one wants to come out in front of your guns, because otherwise, if you just advance across the open,
You're toasted.
You're pissed. I think also it's important to point out that this is a game that, yes, you can play exactly how we played it. Like, I don't mean a multiplayer, but a modern game. But you could play it as a spy game, or what we've talked about before, a bank of
You can
cops and robbers.
totally change the
Yeah.
Cops and robbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many scenarios. Think of any modern movie, and you can do it with this game.
Oh yeah. In fact, I'm building a crashed Black Hawk at the moment.
Oh,
sick.
look at his face.
Yeah. Can't wait. That's awesome.
I got the kit sitting there. I'm about to chop it up and put it on some baseboard for a downed Black Hawk. One thing that we need to mention is the stealth mechanics.
Oh yeah.
That sort of go in this, and we've played
Black Ops
from Osprey. That's built around your stealth mechanics. But Spectre, I think, ramps it up to a whole nother level, and we never really got that stealthy into it because turn 2, I think you'd murdered a guard.
I did.
People hearing.
I was still.
No, you hidden in bushes.
Dude, you
doesn't
That's
count.
stealth,
You
man.
were
That's
stealth to turn
totally stealth.
23.
That's stealth to a
He
T.
was stealth to turn 23. Second turn, I think I snuck up behind the guards and went in for the punch.
Yeah, but people inside the building heard you because it was in so far of a distance away. And
Yeah, I think he Jacob gamed me there because I said, "Oh, this won't make any noise, right?" He's like, "Yeah, no, that doesn't make noise." And next thing he's like, "Oh, yeah, but they would have heard it." He's like, "Oh, wait a minute."
well, in my defence, I was losing. Okay. So no, but I think it's and that's a cool thing too. Is if you want to run those missions where you've got your team and you want to sneak into somewhere and infiltrate. And again, that unlike Black Ops where they give you a table for your guards to roll on, to sort of program what they're doing. This one sort of trusts players to go, right, your guards are on a patrol, so make them patrol.
Yep.
And it works better, I think, because you don't get the silly situations where the guard is turning 180 to look at a wall, like on that random table where you go, no, my guys are... And that's what I did in that game, was to start. My 2 squads were patrolling around the village, so they were moving in that pattern. And, you got to have some sort of understanding with your players. This isn't a pickup game necessarily. Rock up and say, hey, let's crack it out again.
No, definitely not. It's a scenario-based game.
And you want to be telling that story. Absolutely.
It's built for scenarios.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's part of the thing that I get really excited about, is thinking about what cool scenarios can we have? And I've been holding off, but I think I'm going to have to get even more terrain just to play the scenarios I want to have.
This game screams terrain. You're going to
yeah.
spend more money on terrain than you will the core set in a couple of squads.
Easily.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, by far, because there's so many different. I could picture so many themed genres that you want to go into to put these models on and push around.
Man, the battle scene in Heat, that's what keeps going in my mind. You know, the movie with...
that was so long, I don't remember it.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Where they're
it was
shooting
so
down
long
the
ago.
street and they've got the cars everywhere and they're
No.
military precision moving down the street, taking on the local, police department and kicking their ass and just 4 or 5 bank robbers. Wicked, man.
No, I don't
Gotta watch
remember.
it. Just
Sorry.
fast forward that scene, just watch that scene.
Alright, I'm going to get it.
Do you know what I did watch the other night? Is that the
Have you
Secret
seen Aliens
Soldiers?
yet?
No, I haven't watched Aliens.
I've started watching it again.
Secret Soldiers Benghazi?
Are you kidding me? That's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, man, that's cool. You just see,
Amazing.
and obviously, I mean, movies are getting more and more accurate with how they portray stuff nowadays, but that's pretty darn cool.
Operators in that movie. Just saying.
Yeah.
Did they do anything in the movie? These operators? Or
Well,
did
they weren't
just
stealth.
sit-
They weren't in
They just
stealth
sit in the
mode.
bushes.
That's what the Libyans were raiding the compound and they hid in some pot plants.
Yeah,
Like,
But they weren't
oh.
in stealth mode at that stage. They're stealth,
Yeah.
There's a time to use stealth and a time not to use stealth. I have a question.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah.
And this is specifically for you, but feel free to chime in, JK.
Oh, it's specifically for me.
Specifically for you. So, did you feel bad at all of the fact that it's real life scenarios that we're playing out?
I didn't want to bring this up.
You didn't want to bring it up, but
Yeah. No, I mean, it's
do-
important.
Oh,
aspect of the
okay.
game.
So this stuff is modern and realistic, and being an ex-serving member, I do find I get a little antsy about it that this stuff is actually happening right now, and people are actually losing their lives in these sorts of areas. But I'll give it a pass because it is just a game, and I had fun with it. Once I get past the fact of what it actually is, and I just take it for what it is, a game, I had no troubles playing it, and I had a laugh. And look, I'm joking around about dropping mortars on everybody.
Yeah.
For those that are possibly similar to me that do find that a little squeamish, I used to say that I wouldn't play bolt action and flames of war because that stuff to me is just a little too soon almost. It's like like if someone dies, you don't make the joke straight away. You say it's a little bit too soon. So some of that stuff feels a little bit like that for me. Once I got past that, it is just a game, and it was just us having a multiplayer, and it was a lot of fun. Look, no dramas.
Yeah.
No dramas.
Jacob, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm in a bit of a different position from Muddi here, obviously, but yeah, again, I just see it as telling a story on the tabletop. It's not necessarily meant to be, like.
If you don't think of it as being realistic and thinking of it more like a movie, I don't have any.
Yeah,
I just went, yep, cool. We're playing a movie here.
Totally. I'm with you on that because I'm of exactly the same mindset. In fact, to the point I'll call myself hypocritical because I was dead set against bolt action, dead set against Flames of War. I just had no time for it. I'm like, how can you play, a game based and especially whenever I don't know the game, but I'm guessing some of the missions are based on missions back in the day, during World War II, and I just think, no, that's just not that. Personally, that's not for me. But when I started playing this, straight away I'm like, movies. Oh, it reminds me of this movie, reminds me of that movie, reminds me of this movie. And the thing is, Black Hawk Down actually did happen. Let's not forget that. But the movie's still cool. So
actually, I'll throw this question back at you now. So, playing this and being able to almost divorce yourself from the fact that it's a realistic combat game, changing that perspective and saying, okay, no, we're just playing a movie, we're reenacting movie. Does that mean that you now look at maybe bolt action and Flames of War or something like that with new eyes? That maybe we're being a little bit over the top with our thoughts on it, or?
Personally, no, because the difference is if you take a reenactment of a battle, Battle of the Bulge, whatever it might be, that's a real life event that actually happened where the stats on the people who died and all that sort of stuff, and that actually happened. Whereas take James Bond, that's totally, or Cops and Robbers, that's totally, that's your mind using these great rules that have been intelligently written and applying them to whatever scenario you want, and that to me is amazing.
Okay.
It's a little bit different with Black Hawk Down. We use that because the movie's cool. Yes, it was based on a real life event.
And it's got a helicopter.
Yeah, it's got a wicked helicopter in it, and it's wicked, full stop. But take that out of it, and you could still have a game based on the theories, I guess, the principles around Black Hawk Down, i.e., you choppers down and you got to escape. Those same principles you can still apply with these rule set, and I think it's in that respect great.
Oh, cool, interesting. Yeah.
You are listening to Power Stance Gamers. And now, this.
Alright, Jacob, so I'm going to ask you, how old do you reckon you need to be actually able to play this game? Because it is quite heavy in the rules. Is this something that you're going to have to tutor someone obviously at a younger age? Like, who do you think is ready to be able to play this sort of game?
Yeah, accessibility is a tough one. I probably... You want to be playing this with an experienced wargamer.
Yeah.
If you want to get the most out of it. It's not like Black Ops, which you could
This ain't
play
X-Wing.
with your mate. This isn't X-Wing,
Yeah.
no. It's a serious rule set. And while you can create reasonably simple scenarios, you're going to be only getting the cream off the top. You're not going to get the depth you want.
Yeah. I think, Greg, you were just saying before, like, this is more than 40k, this is more than infinity. So if you're at home and you're thinking, I want to have a crack at this, if you probably haven't had a game of one of these, you might want to get
struggle
some
a bit.
tutelage.
Yeah, definitely.
Question. Have these guys got any videos up on YouTube or on their website to show you some of the gameplay or anything like that?
Yeah, I think, yeah. So we'll post up some links.
So Jacob, innovation. What's your call?
Ooh, what do you
This
got?
is my thing.
This
always
is
a
the
big one.
thing.
Innovation.
Innovation!
Look, there's stuff in here that I think is a refinement. And
A refinement.
An improvement?
yeah, basically.
Wait, I'm calling you out here. This is what King's do, and you... Magic do this, and you're like, no innovation.
There's a lot of stuff, like, I think what this does is, if we're saying that, so we go 40k, then Infinity, then Spectres a few notches above them, there are other modern wargames out there that are for attention to anal retentive attention to detail.
Yep.
Way above this as well. So what it's doing is taking a lot of the big concepts from those games and bring it down to a more accessible level.
I got to agree. Like, I don't like super rules heavy games. I understand that in skirmish games you have to have some more of it, because otherwise you're just pushing around 5-6 guys and there'd be no layers to anything. Like, it'd be just too simple.
Yeah, no depth.
So I can understand that, but I don't necessarily like having rules just to have rules, though. Okay.
Yeah.
This game, from someone like, I know you did up cards for us, Jacob, and everything else for us to play, and essentially built our guys. But at no point in the game did I feel like I was completely didn't know what was going on. I'd have to ask you, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Kind of like when we were playing Infinity, I'll sort of say to you, this is what I'm trying to do. How does this work within the rules? And you'd be able to say, oh yeah, you just got to sneak up here, or these guys have to just sit still to do this. So as much as it's a rules-heavy game, at no point did I feel like I was out of my depth.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things in there that are like that. If we're talking about innovation or new ways to do things, I think that the off-table assets are a really good way of bringing that wider battlefield into a smaller setting, which can work really well. And I actually think the way the turns are structured with
the initiative.
Yep. But then each of the phases switching between the players rather than playing your whole turn is an interesting way of approaching that too.
Yep.
So yeah, look, it's
so
not
it's got
brand
a little.
new.
It's got a little.
It's got a little,
but it's not like it's got crazy card mechanics and you got to do a backflip.
Yeah. And this is why I'm saying it's more of a refinement than bringing heaps of new stuff to the table, because it's. I've certainly found, and I've tried a lot, is modern wargaming can be really inaccessible and really hard to get into. But this one's taking a lot of those concepts and bringing it to a level that's good, but also bringing a few new things to the table as well. And again, the miniatures. So nice.
Yeah.
There's even one that looks like Brad. Have you seen that?
No.
Looks like Brad.
Yeah, it looks like Brad.
How is
Really?
that possible?
I will shout out to Brad, but I can tell you that there is a mini that is a dead ringer for
Boy.
Brad. Yep. I'll post it up. You'll see, I'll do a side by side.
that'd
I've got a
be-
photo
that's
of
cool.
Brad
Yeah.
and this mini, and it's a dead ringer. All right.
So it's a cross between Shrek and Bubble Boy. Yeah, I know you're listening, Brad.
He's gonna love that.
He has multi-barrel. What is it? The grenade launcher, the 6-barrel grenade launcher.
Oh yeah,
that's
that's
pretty
totally
nice.
Brad.
Yeah, that's what he'd
totally
have.
Brad. Yeah.
I'd want that too.
No finesse, just lob a grenade.
What? It's calling mortars, bro.
Did you guys spot anything that you thought was maybe new or innovative, or when you were playing it, or is it still a bit fresh for you?
Oh, it was too fresh for me to really sit there and rate innovation. And I'll drop this in here. I don't think I know you like your innovation, but it's not a necessity in a game. If the game feels good and it plays good and you enjoy it, then who cares if it's got mechanics that have been used or borrowed from whatever systems. I love Walking Dead, right? That thing's borrowed from mechanics from all over the place. It's a great game, and this is kind of in the same thing.
Yeah, it works.
It's taken
Yeah.
possibly a whole bunch of different systems, taken the good bits, put it all together. Who doesn't like that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think from an innovation point of view, it's certainly continuous improvement. It's taken already known points and pushed that bit further to the point of almost innovation. I think like this, it is. I cannot stress how super realistic it is, but to a point where it works, not where it's clunky and difficult to manage. It flows quite
On
well.
that point though, that you just said clunky and difficult to manage. This was a criticism that Mike had, and I might actually.
Yeah, read it out if you want. Yeah.
Here's a
Maybe
quote from-
paraphrase it.
Oh yeah, not reading the whole thing. He wrote an essay. He's a very passionate gamer, and that's a good thing, right?
It is.
So
Aren't most gamers?
No.
No? Look at Greg, he's got no passion. He's like,
no, he's just
Fuck it.
soulless
fuck
husk of a man.
Fuck it.
Stoneheart.
So Mike had lots of really positive things to say. He started with saying how he really digs the thematic feel of the game, how it plays, that every move was life or death, and that's something we sort of all
Because it
agree
was,
with.
because he died.
He did. He reckoned it was cool how it captured the elite military feel with the action of the troops, particularly breaching rooms.
Oh, what, throwing fucking grenades
Stun
into fucking
grenades in,
buildings and
yeah.
shit. How'd that work out for him?
It didn't work out real well.
No, it didn't.
And he loved the vehicles, which we didn't
Oh,
really
because
chat
he,
about.
yeah, because he drove in
He got
thinking
his
he was,
SUVs.
yeah,
His
and rolling.
SUVs, yeah.
thought he was the shit.
Yeah.
He said the off-table sports was a fantastic concept,
Yep.
which we all agreed with. And the 4 players and secret objectives, you're welcome.
That was
That was
great.
me.
Yep.
Unique turn structure. See, he really liked a lot of it.
Yep.
However, he said he did have some issue with the clunk in the game, and that's sort of what jogged my memory there, because he said that, he's been spoiled by not having it in recent games he's been playing. For instance, rolling on wound tables, marking stress on models or bleed out times and that sort of stuff. So
I think the bleed out time, while I kind of
I get it.
secretly enjoyed it, I don't think it was necessary.
But then if you had a paramedic, I imagine one of the upgrades is to have a paramedic, Jacob.
you can take
The med kits.
Yeah,
trauma kits.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
all
In fact,
my guys had trauma kits.
Mike's guys did have trauma kits. He just chose not to
Uh,
use them. I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah.
No, did he?
Yeah.
I know my guys all
Yeah,
had
no, I
it.
remember him saying he just couldn't be
'Cause we don't
asked using
leave
them.
men
He'd rather
anymore.
shoot people.
Yeah.
So if you're playing in that scenario-based environment,
It makes
then
sense.
definitely, like for us, we're not going to do it. But
Yeah.
so I get it. Like, and I think if it's one table you're rolling on for injury, I think that's
Yeah.
and if you had that, I think you mentioned they do have a reference way of on the Facebook page or something of some sort of
There's quick reference sheets. Yeah.
yeah. So
There's-
Was there different injury charts depending on the weapon that actually...
No. So the
So
weapon
that's
affects
streamlined.
the
Oh,
lead
I
Yeah.
have no
lethality.
dramas with
yeah,
that.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
might be killing them on a 2-up or a
It's the
3-up or 4-up.
lethality.
We had the lethality, and
Yeah.
then if it wasn't lethal, then you checked the chart.
wound,
but
yeah.
the chart, you would know that. You
Yeah.
wouldn't even have to look at it. because-
Eventually you'd get
yeah.
to know, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Very realistic.
Fire roll.
the other thing that Mike said is he felt that a D6 wasn't enough.
He
of
wants a D8. I could go with that.
I think a D8 or even a D10 could. Again, just give you that spread of outcomes.
The D8 feels better.
But then here's a question, just to attempt to sort of put a counter to that, and for the listeners, the stats that the dudes have, like for example, the operator, it's 6, so I start on a 6, okay? So if my...
Oh, so what? Now you'd have a chance of failing something.
Because you add the D6
It's hard to
results,
fail hiding in a bush.
because you put the D6 results onto that 6, are you not giving you a window of opportunity or a window of success from 1 to 12? Is that not how it works?
Oh, you'd need to adapt your stats, obviously. You couldn't
but-
have the same stats with the different dice.
No, but no, I'm talking about just the current mechanism because I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
Using the current mechanism, is it not giving a result between 1 and 12? Because
It depends what you're trying to do. If you're shooting
Yeah.
and your stat is 6 and you roll a 6, then it adds up to 12.
Yeah.
But if you're rolling under your command value,
Right. Oh, I see. Okay.
it'd be different.
So it doesn't add. You don't add your command value to the d6. You're trying to roll under it.
Yeah, it depends whether it's an opposed test, really, which
Right.
is your shooting versus their defense, and you're both rolling dice and adding your stats.
Yeah.
Or whether it's, you're testing on your model's characteristic.
Yeah.
Like you're your leader again.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So
Yeah,
it
okay.
depends on how you approach it.
Man, I'll give it a pass. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I
Same
wouldn't go.
here.
I wouldn't go trying to change all the mechanics and dice rolling.
I didn't find it.
I could see
big a
why
deal.
Mike would be thinking that,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to give it a negative on that.
All right, boys. Dice. How many dice?
Are we up to dicing already?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've...
I've got a question to ask the owner then.
Oh, yeah?
In that scenario, who won? I want to know if my tactic of the mortar won me the game.
I'm dropping the mortar on everyone
On the village,
to wipe out the
there
objectives.
was nobody in the town. Now, my
Look, it doesn't matter what they say because it was a scenario I made up.
Oh.
And I was GM, and I say that it was a draw.
Oh, that is
Boom.
so
There you go.
lame.
The
Thank
real
you
winner
very
here
much.
was
I want to put it to the listeners.
Spectre
Thanks, GM.
Operations.
I want to put
Thank
it to
you.
the listeners. If there's nobody in
Listen to
the
it.
village,
How desperate are you for a win? Seriously. You sound like me.
I so blew the hell out of you too with that mortar too.
Had the
You
game-
were so
Had the game
upset.
bloody won, except you had to blow.
You were
friggin'
so.
land
You
mortar in
thought you
my
were
head.
the shit when you got there.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
got a
man, I have held off
off
5 turns being stealthily and then
All
swim
right,
up the very.
one last point from me, and I think that listening to you monkeys chibba jabber. Is that even a word?
Don't make me
It is
start.
now.
Jibber jabber is
Do
a
you want me
word.
to do a monkey magic
No, I
impersonation?
don't. We had enough monkey magic I had to edit out of the last episode. All right. The fact that as new
Hey,
players,
Pixie!
hey,
I like the way you did that without your lips moving, and then your lips moved after.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
given that you guys were complete noobs to the system,
Yep.
the fact that we get in and with some aids, like obviously I didn't just put you in the
Yeah, I was
deep
going
end.
to say we weren't just thrown in the deep end. You had essentially stat cards for us. You picked our list for us.
Yeah.
And obviously, like I was just saying before, I would say, look, I'm trying to do this to be able to do this. How does the rule mechanics for this work?
But that's what having a GM is all about.
Exactly.
But the fact of the matter is that even a week later after the game, we're still sitting around it and going,
Oh, it was funny
all
as
the-
hell.
the
Yeah,
stuff that's
it was
going on.
fun.
Is that
Still
if
trying
you've
to figure out who won.
got the right scenarios with that have a clear winner for Muddi's sake,
I say one.
No, he did not win.
I think it's a good indictment of the rules there. So,
Yep.
if we're talking about our dice rating,
All right, let's explain the rating because I think we're getting a bit carried away with the last one. I'm looking at you, Greg.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, every person must rush out and buy this game, even if they don't like Star Wars. Oh yeah,
It was-
definitely.
Absolutely.
So
That's the stuff,
5 is you have to rush out and buy this game immediately.
Yep.
And we're never doing a 0, are we? So 1 is this game's pretty much
it's
must.
pants. You don't
3
want it.
is it's a good game.
It's worth playing.
It's worth playing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go straight to Greg.
Okay.
After that game there,
Yep.
which was multiplayer fun shenanigans.
Should we full disclosure that you own miniatures from Spectre?
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
You got the clowns,
Which my kids painted. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love painting them.
We've spoken about them on the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would give this game 4 dice,
Ooh.
and that's predominantly based around the fact that I think I really enjoy it. I do enjoy the mechanics and how it works. Just for me, it hasn't got that, I guess, that X factor that
It doesn't have X-wings.
X-wings. Yeah.
Is that because it doesn't have there's not an IP tied to it, or not necessarily fluff around it, or
No, I
is it
think
lacking a
Well,
narrative
you've got
aspect?
some
look,
reservations about the genre.
it comes down to the question is, would I rush out and buy it tomorrow or in the near future? And I'm not going to rush out and buy it right now because I'm invested in other games that have a similar feel, not quite the same level, but a similar sort of feel,
Yep.
and that's why.
So when you're saying this, you're talking Infinity,
Yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah. Look, and Infinity isn't the same level, but it does scratch that itch. But I can see this where we will play more games and a more scenario-based, story-driven narrative. Definitely.
We might even check in. We've mentioned this before with some of our reviews. We might check in 6 months, 12 months down the line, see whether we're still
I
going.
think we've got to
still
do that
playing.
with a lot of our reviews. Come in and just talk about the game again, because me and Greg are basically doing this review tonight on one game. I think this game's got a lot of depth to it, and I think I'm straight up giving it 4 as well. And that's 4 from me for this style of game is actually quite a...
That's a pretty glowing
That's
endorsement.
a big tip of the hat to you, because I do sometimes have the reservations about this style of game. Metal Miniatures, that to me is, I know they're one piece, but that's another little negative for me. And I don't tend to play a lot of skirmish games. So there's 3 massive things that this game's trying to get past, and it actually did it. I'd like to play it again to play the 1v1 type games and get that feel as well. So and just get a feel for how the mechanics really work and look at the nuts and bolts, which feels so odd because it is such that style of game that I just thought I wouldn't really ever visit. So tip of the hat to you.
Kudos.
4 stars, 4 dice, I should say. And Jacob, I'm assuming 5's coming up.
Look, it's a 5 from me.
Oh, what a surprise!
It's a 5 from me because this is exactly the game that I've been looking for
Yep.
since I got into Moderns. So I'm a little biased here that I was looking for a rule set.
There's nothing
Close
biased
to this.
about that. You were looking for a system. There's no guarantee that this was going to be the system to be able to do that.
Yeah. And look, if you're after a tight modern rule set with, I think, fantastic miniatures to go with it, then this is your buy. Go and buy a starter set and get a couple of blisters to boost your forces up. Because
And the most important part, I think, of this game,
terrain.
the freaking terrain.
Yeah.
Get some terrain happening.
But even if nothing else, go to one of the papercraft things, print out a bunch of containers, and play in a shipping yard.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's going to fit the aesthetic of the game. I can't, and I see there's a few little shortcomings with it, but I think if you're looking for a game like this, then this is the game you're looking for, and that sounds stupid, but you know what I mean. If you're after
Fits the bill,
a modern
100%.
skirmish game with tight rules and great models, then this is the one for you.
That can be played across multiple themes as well. That's another massive key point for this.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not-
it.
It's
You've
not
got
pigeonholed
SWAT
into
teams,
one.
robbers, militias.
Yep.
It's up to your imagination.
Oh, the cartel.
It's-
I didn't. How have I not mentioned the cartel miniatures?
There's
I
a
set
ton
it
of
up
stuff
with my
there.
brother in Colombia, and I went the whole review without
Oh.
mentioning the cartel. But yeah, so what we'll do is I've got some photos from the game, so we'll post them up over the week. And if you've played Spectre or you want to play it, we'd love to hear from you. So this is the absolute final chance for you to enter in the Archaon End of Times giveaway. Tell the people how they could win.
Okay, wait up. This is a message to the people. Get out there and review Power Stance Gaming 5 stars, or I will break you like I did the bat.
Thank you, Bane. Alright, so as you heard, we need some reviews. Subscribe to our iTunes channel.
Subscribe.
Thanks. Oh, Hulk's back. Shit. Subscribe to our iTunes channel.
Find where you live.
You can find us on YouTube.
And I'll break your face.
You can find us on Podbean. Get the app if you really want. Basically, lots of ways to get us. Get involved in the conversation on Facebook.
Or I'll slam you
Thanks for listening.
and break you.
That
And you don't want to mess with me.
we good, Hulk?
Yes, brother.
Get involved in the conversation on Facebook. We want to hear from you. Let us know what you think of our review. And on that note, good night, Greg.
Good night. Good morning.
And you better play Spectre or I'm going to kick your ass.
Thanks, Hulk. Catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to Power Stance Gamers, the #1 place for tabletop banter. You know you love us. See you soon.
It's Eternal and Mix, well on the track once again, killing it, T-Dot to Munch, we all connection, funk resurrection, ha, yeah.